Good morning, church. This is Keith Fair, pastor for Faith Formation and Discipleship at St. Matthew Lutheran Church in York, Pennsylvania. We are part of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, and today is the Bible study for the upcoming Sunday of June 28th, 2020, the fourth Sunday after Pentecost. I'm going to be looking at the gospel text assigned for that day, which comes from Matthew chapter 10, verses 40 to 42. I'd like to read that for you now, and I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. Jesus said to the 12, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will again receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." Matthew's gospel is separated into five major segments. Each one of these segments contains a section of narrative, stories about where Jesus is going and what he's doing, and also a section of discourse or teaching. Today's reading is from the very end of the second segment. Chapter 11 begins with Jesus saying, begins with Matthew saying, now when Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and proclaim in their cities. And that phrase, when Jesus had finished teaching, some variation on that phrase ends each of these five discourses and signals the start of the next section of narrative. Some Bible scholars believe that these five segments are intended to mirror the five books of the Pentateuch, the first five books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And Matthew, having the heart of a rabbi, knowing the Old Testament the way he does, and making as many linkages to the Old Testament that he does, may indeed have intended that that mirroring. There's a couple of interesting phrases that Matthew uses in this passage. What exactly does it mean to receive a prophet in the name of a prophet? We're used to talking about receiving someone in Jesus' name or in the name of God, but what does it mean to receive a prophet in the name of a prophet? Same with receiving a righteous person in the name of a righteous person. Now, some Bible scholars point to this as the idea of receiving someone as an authentic, receiving them in an authentic way, receiving them as they actually are at the core of their identity. And what's a prophet's reward? Well, various places, Jesus in Matthew's gospel says persecution, rejection, and death. But he also says in the Sermon on the Mount, rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. Another phrase that Jesus uses here, these little ones. This can be used of children, and Matthew does this, but he also uses it of Jesus's disciples, not only the 12 closest inner circle of those disciples, but all of Jesus' followers, especially the young in faith, people who are particularly vulnerable in their faith. The idea of giving one of these a cup of cold water to drink points to that judgment scene in Matthew 25. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. And also then later on, truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of these who are members of my family, the least of these, you did it to me. Pointing back again to anyone who welcomes you welcomes me. So with these and other phrases, we hear Jesus speaking to his disciples, but we also hear Matthew speaking to his followers a few generations later, near the end of the first century. The church in Matthew's day still needed to be encouraged to welcome others, to serve their needs. The church in our day needs that encouragement as well. We know that mission is not just a single program of a congregation or a committee, but it is the entire purpose behind everything that we do, everything that we are. That is, just as true today as it was in Matthew's day. It's just as true as it was in Jesus's day. It's just as true today as it was 6 months ago, before the times of COVID-19 and social unrest that we find ourselves in the middle of 2020. And so we are left with, and I will leave you with, these questions. Who is it that we welcome? Who is it that we receive? And what does it mean to welcome? In the church, we're so used to welcoming by saying things like, welcome to our building, welcome to our worship service, welcome to our program or event. Now, or even now, welcome to our YouTube channel, welcome to our Facebook page. But how do we welcome others into relationship? Even in this time of crazy rhetoric, every day I see and hear stories of people engaging in genuine dialogue, people actively trying to listen to each other and to hear each other, perhaps like never before. So again, we are left with those questions. Until we see each other again, be safe and God bless.